We're going to Philly tomorrow. And where's the mic again? On the top?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Why are you getting nervous? You're behind the camera.
What are you nervous about?
Shitting my pants.
Same, honestly.
I don't want to go on a plane. After I had like a mental breakdown, I just like started over everything. All my fears, just like all the progress I've made, I just like started over. I'm like pissed off.
You're pissed?
Yeah, because like I literally like already did all of this.
You did all this work.
Mm-hmm. I conquered the fear. Like when I went to London, like I literally was like, finally I can go anywhere. I can do anything. And like literally now I'm back at like being afraid to go home.
But you are going home.
We'll see what happens.
What's up? What?
I don't want to leave.
Babe, it's gonna be okay. Hi!
Hi! Welcome to Philly!
Thank you!
Delicious.
Something wrong with the drink?
Oh my god!
What's up?
It's raining again.
Not a matcha fan, huh?
It's like a spinach and milk smoothie.
Mmm. You love those two things, though. No, none of that. What did we say about... What did we say about chilling?
Chill harder.
There you go. Chill harder, that's right.
I'm gonna get so much shit for smoking.
By who?
The world.
The whole world? Do they never see you smoke?
No, I hide it.
You hide it from your vlogs? I can't even
I
see
have
it.
no bad qualities.
You don't? I have a couple lined up.
What?
If you want to run them down. Well,
My
first of all,
ass?
that ass. Yeah. Where are we going?
We're going to Hapro, baby. This is where my school bus would go. Oh, there's a Sonic up here. Then again, I work there. Oh, they put a bridge in. So none of that was there. My brother gets to buy a car up here. This is the In-N-Out, where it's not the In-N-Out you're thinking of. It's just a convenience store, and it's where like everyone in town would get your cigarettes underage because they would sell them to you. They used to sell live bait. It like wasn't a nice convenience store. And that one was my bedroom.
Can we sit on the curb and tell me a story?
I don't know if I feel comfortable because the Cosentas still live there.
So? Oh, they know you or something?
Oh my god, there's Debbie. Yeah, and she's such a bitch. I almost don't want to go in. I don't want to like step foot on it because it's not mine and it feels like mine. I think I lived there for 21 years, my whole life. Like, this still feels like my home. Like, I think about it all the time. It's so strange. Because it, like, truly feels like my house.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's not, I guess. My grandfather built that deck!
Isn't her coat beautiful? Turn around so Mom can see the back. Look at her hair. Isn't that pretty? Did you say hi to Emily? Did you?
Hi, Joanna.
When I think back on my childhood, it feels very happy. My parents got divorced when I was 3. Family's always been so important to me, and everyone being together.
What does it mean with the red lights on?
It means that it's on.
Record.
It's on record?
I was always with my brothers. We would travel back and forth between my mom and dad's. Always pull out the video camera and we would film each other doing funny things.
Freddy Jr.
I think it was hard on my brothers too, but I think we all really reacted in different ways and it all affected us differently because we were at different ages. I really didn't like going back and forth and having to say goodbye to one parent and then to go see another. I think that affected me in ways that I didn't fully understand until later in life. And I think that was kind of the start of problems with anxiety. Okay, so this was my elementary school, but it's all different. Like, it doesn't even look, oh yeah, the parking lot's all different. I just never liked school. I didn't like coming here. Starting in 3rd grade is when I started having a really hard time going to school. Anxiety started setting in. I was never teacher's pet. Difficult in my own ways and then difficult in mental health ways that no one really understood at the time. Even as they became more understood, it wasn't really accepted. No one really knew. You knew what to do with people who, with the kids who had ADD. You knew what to do with the kids who had anger or rage problems. There were anger management classes. There were kids with learning disabilities, and I didn't really fall into any of those. And so I was just kind of looked at as like a problem student. My parents didn't really understand at the time what was going on. But I just remember fighting with the teachers and just feeling misunderstood. And I didn't understand myself either, but There wasn't a lot of patience, I think. It was a time I really didn't like authority. I didn't really like structure, and I didn't really understand until later in life that caused me more anxiety. It's like structure and routine is good for me, but authority and demands of an obligation is almost crippling for me, even to this day. This is my middle school, and this looks exactly the same. Like, this hasn't changed at all. Middle school is when things started getting pretty bad. I wasn't just a quirky kid anymore. It was like getting to be bad. And by the time I got to middle school, I kind of like got to an age where I had a bit more of authority for myself. And that's when I started really missing school a lot. In 7th grade and 8th grade, there was this period where it got so bad I didn't go to school. And I don't really remember how much time passed, but it was a lot. Like, I wasn't in school for like at least a month. I ended up having to go to school or going to court for truancy. And that's when I was like put on my first antidepressant, I think. And it was just hard. It became, you know, from elementary school and then to middle school was getting harder, and then by the time I got to high school it was a whole mess. Yeah, I just remember I got in trouble here a few times. I got suspended, and of course at that point they're just, you know, thinking like, oh, she's just like a bad kid, she's a troublemaker, and I really wasn't. The first time I was suspended, I was caught going into the boys' bathroom. And I was like 11. I think I had just had my first kiss. So I was with this boy. He was a boy at the time. And I think we like got passes to go to the bathroom together, just to kind of like goof off and, you know, just be 11 and like have that kind of freedom where it's like you don't have to have a teacher like walk you to the bathroom, and like, you know, we would just kind of like goof off in the hallways, and like he went to the bathroom and I think I went to the girls' room. And when I came out, you know, he was like still in there, but I could hear him like washing his hands, and there was like no door. It was just like, kind of a hallway. I just kind of walked around just to kind of, I don't remember, you know what, but it was like an innocent thing of just to be like, hey, like hurry up, what are you doing, or something. And when I walked out, the gym teacher at the time, which he wasn't my gym teacher, I didn't have him, but he was like a big scary man, and he saw me, and I didn't even know, like, I was that innocent where it's like I didn't even know that it like would be a thing that I would get in trouble for, you know. And he just laid into me. He was screaming at me like, what were you doing in there, blah 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 blah. I've never had a man be that angry at me before and scream at me like that, and I was just glued, like, and I couldn't even say anything. And he sent me to the principal's office, and I just remember being so confused. Like, what was the problem? It's like, yeah, I'm not supposed to be in the boys' room, but like, I didn't really do, like, you know, I just didn't know. We both got in trouble for that. We both got suspended. I remember, like, I wasn't even allowed to talk to him for a while, and I remember having to have a meeting at the school with my dad, still just like not understanding like what the big deal is. And I remember them just embarrassing me, like basically like in front of my dad, just saying things like, you know, what if he had his pants down around his ankles and we found you in there with him, like what would we think you were doing or something. Like they wanted me to say like, oh yeah, you would think maybe I was giving him a blowjob. I'm like, I didn't even know what that was. And I was just humiliated. And I remember them like convincing my dad that I was kind of like a sexual deviant, and he should go home and look at my emails. And they had convinced him, and like I remember my dad just kind of being like, no, like she's a good kid, but they were like, you should do this. And so I remember going home and my dad going into my email and finding an email that I had sent to my other friend talking about my first kiss. And of course my dad, you know, he wasn't like, what are you doing? But he was just kind of like, you're too young, and like just kind of embarrassing me. And I had never been more mortified in my life, because I think, like, in the thing, like, we didn't say, like, we kissed. I think we said, like, we hooked up. And of course, like, to an adult, he's like, what? And I just remember thinking, like, why is this happening to me? Like, I made this dumb decision, but I didn't know that it meant anything like this. And yeah, that was pretty traumatizing. I had another kind of incident in high school where, like, I had to change medications. Things weren't working out, and it was a really hard time. And this is kind of the reason why, when I went through this whole thing again last year, I was kind of really defeated and I was terrified, because it was really coming back to this time in my life where I felt like I had no control over anything. At one point, my mom had to, like, threaten a lawsuit to the school because they had kind of given up on me and were like, she should just drop out. So they came up with this program for me, which is like, I was missing a lot of credits, and because I had missed a lot of school, eventually they just gave me stacks of work and was just like, complete all of this to get your credits to graduate. And I did. I ended up graduating by, like, the skin of my teeth. So school is truly a nightmare for me. Like, people who are kind of like, oh, those were the days. I'm like, what was your experience? Like I just could not wait to never come back. It was really hard for me all of my school career to be like, to wake up and have to essentially, it's like the second I step my foot over to that threshold, I can't leave for 7-8 hours. And that was, like, unbearable for me. I got suspended for walking home. I had a panic attack. I would have to go to the nurse. I'd have to convince the nurse to call my, let me go to the office. And then in the office, I have to let them convince me to call my parents. And then I have to convince my parents to let me go home. And then someone would have to come get me. You know, this was before I drove. And, you know, it was a whole thing where it's like, after that, I'm like, you know, when you're having a panic attack, you're like, you need to go. It's fight or flight. So it got to a point where, like, I had a panic attack and I literally just walked out the door and walked home. And by the time I got home, I'm getting a phone call from my mom, like, you know, because the school called her, like, Joanna's not in her class. And I got in so much trouble. I was just like, I remember going to the principal the next day when he was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to suspend you. And I was just kind of like, okay, like, look, I don't know what you want from me. I'm not doing this to, like, I didn't have anything better to do, you know? Like, I didn't want to be different, you know? It's like, as an adult, you want to stand out, you want to be different, you want to be, like, your own person, and when you're a teenager, like, you just want to be like everybody else. And I, like, couldn't be like anybody else. My older brothers were such good students, and they were so smart. And I came around and just, like, smeared the family name, and they were just like, why? I got a lot of, like, why aren't you like them? I don't really know. So I don't have the same nostalgic memories here that I'm sure a lot of my friends have.
You ready?
She and I don't, so it has to go to someone
Ready to
else.
see the
in company too.
candies.
Excited to be back?